Hello friends, welcome to Coding Interviews channel. Hope you are doing great. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Let's jump into today's problem. Reduction operations to make the array elements equal. Given an integer array, nums, your goal is to make all elements in num equal. To complete one operation, follow these steps. So this basically we are given with an integer array and our goal is to make all these elements in the array as equal, right? So that's the uh, question, and we have like several steps here that we need to follow to make the elements equal. So the first step is find the largest value in nums. Let its index be I. It's zero indexed. Majority of the languages the arrays are zero indexed and its value be to the largest. If there are multiple elements with the largest value, pick the smallest I. So I is an index, right? So smallest index, right? Basically, that's the first rule. So we are going to pick the largest value in the nums. So that's the first step. And the second thing is, second step is next largest value in nums strictly smaller than largest. So if there are multiple largest values, right, we are not going to select from those, but we are saying strictly smaller than the largest, so it has to be not from the largest pool basically, right? Let its value be next largest and reduce nums of I to the next largest. Basically we have to reduce the largest to the next largest. So that's what the step 3. So these are the 3 steps that we need to do. So this, if you execute 3 steps, right, that is called as one operation, right? So we have to return how many number of operations that we need to make all the elements equal. So that's basically the question, right? So here we are looking for like two pieces of information, right? So let's try to understand with an example. So let's say the array nums is 4213, let's say, right? And in this particular, right, so largest is 4 and next largest is 3. So at any given time, we have to find out what is the largest and what is the next largest, right? So now that we have this array, we know largest is 4 and next largest is 3, right? And we already found. So that means first 2 steps are done here. And reduce nums of I to the next largest. So we reduced nums of I to the next largest. So 4 became 3. So here that means operation count is 1, right? So by then we have done 1. Good. And next, moving on, right? So but we have not yet come to the situation where all the numbers or all the elements in the array are not same yet, right? So let's go further, right? So now from this array, what is the largest and what is the next largest? Largest, we have two values, two threes, right? But as per the definition in the rule 1, right, we have to pick the smallest I. So that means we are going to pick the 3 at index 0, right? So that's the one. And what is the next largest? 2. As it says, strictly smaller than the largest, right? 2. So that's what we have. Largest is 3 and next largest is 2. So now our step 3 is what? Reduce that to 2. So we have reduced this to 2. So this will be, operation count will be 2, right? Good. And next, we have not yet come to the state where all numbers are equal to 1. So we go further. Here again, the largest is 3 and next largest is 2. And we are going to reduce this to 2, right? So that is what is going to be our array after that, right? So now, so far we have done 3 operations, right? So now we have 2, 2, 1, 2, right? All the elements equal, right? So in this particular case, now what is the largest and next largest? Largest, we have 3 values, right? Largest, we have 3 values. That means 3 twos, right? So, but which 2 you need to pick? As it said, pick smallest I. So we are going to pick this one. So next largest is 1. So we are going to reduce that to 1. Yes. Now the array becomes 1, 2, 1, 2. So now how many operations? Operation is equal to 4. So likewise, we will have to do. So at the end of these steps, we will be getting the arrays all ones basically, right? So that's when we are done. So that is when we will say, okay, these many operations are essentially being done to it, right? So that's how, I mean, there are several operations that we will be doing, and we will get the answer as whatever the number of operations. So that's the essential thing. But here we are repeating so much of work here, right? So basically, how to find the largest and next largest at any given time, right? How to find the largest and next largest at any given time. I mean, so if you do it right, basically you can go through the entire array to find those two, right? So you could, since we are caring about only the largest and next largest, you go through the entire array and you can incur order of n operations to for every operation, right? So if you say uh, you are going to do m total operations and you have n elements in the array, so every time for each operation you are going to uh, find out the largest and next largest, right? So that's how it's going to work in the brute force way, right? So what we are saying is finally, if we need m operations and n elements in the array, then we are saying for every operation we are trying to find the largest and next largest, which will take order of n, and we are doing m operations. In that case, the time complexity will be order of m into n, right? So that will be the time complex. But can we actually improve? That's what we have to look for. So this is the brute force, right? So the next go for the next one, right? So in this case, we are doing that many operations, right? So let's go to the next approach. So in this approach, what we're going to use is, okay, we're going to use a dictionary and a sorted array. So for example, if you sort this, as we know, we are looking for largest and next largest, right? If you sort this, what happens? 1, 2, 3, 4 it will be, right? So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is the largest? Obviously the last element, assuming you are sorting in the ascending order, right? And what is the next largest? Last minus 1, obviously. So in this particular case at least, right? So but if there are the values are duplicated, then it's a different story altogether. We will look at the duplicated values also later. But in this particular case, what you can say is largest value is at the end of the array and next largest is just before that, right? So that's how it's going to work. So now that we know how to get the largest value and next largest value from the sorted array, so that means when you are at 4, that is the largest value, and next largest value is 3. When you are at 3, largest value is 3, next largest value is 1 before that, right? So likewise, so all we are going to do is wherever the value that you are at and this the value before you, right? That's what it is. Wherever you are right now and what is the value before it. So that's what we are going to look at, right? So, and we will pretend for this approach one that we don't have any duplicates. So it will also include, I mean, the solution approach one will also work for the duplicate values also, right? And we are going to look at another approach also later. So for the approach one, we don't have to really consider the duplicate value explicitly. For now, pretend there are no duplicate values, right? So it will work for duplicate values also. So what we're going to do is we will have a set, right? Sorry, it's not a set, but a dictionary. We'll have a dictionary. In that dictionary, what we're going to maintain is what is the number of times each element appeared, right? So that's what we are going to maintain, right? So in this particular case, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them appeared once. So that's what our dictionary will have. And the sorted array will be obviously whatever the numbers that array that we are given. The sorted array will be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we are going to have, right? So this is what we have transformed our input. So we have prepared a dictionary and we have sorted array. So now what we are going to really look is, as we want the largest and next largest at any given time, right? We are going to process the sorted array from the end, from the right side. So from this one. So assuming that we are going through the last index, I'm calling index as I, and it will be initialized to 3, which is length minus 1, basically, right? I is equal to 3, and sorted of I is 4, basically, right? So I is the index, right? We are saying index, just not to confuse. Index I is equal to 3. And we have initialized the current operations is equal to 0. That's what we are going to initialize. So now what we are going to essentially do is we have to see how many times 4 occur. It's one time, right? So we read the value from that, right? We read the value from that and add it to the current operations. Add it to the current operations, right? So we are saying, okay, uh, dictionary of, right, sorted of I, that will give us current operations. We are going to add it to the current operations, and that's not just enough. So 4, you're saying one time you need to transform, but in case of 4, right, how many times it is getting transformed here? If you observe, right, 4 is getting transformed to 3, 3 is to 2, and 2 is to 1, right? 4, 3, 2, 1. So how many operations it is undergoing with? 3 operations, right, in that particular example. So in this case, current operations is taken as 1, right? We are adding. What we are essentially going to do is, we have, as we know this, right, dictionary of sorted of I, and we will say, right, we will say whatever minus 1, right, whatever minus 1 it is there, we are going to add that with this, right? Whatever that we have, we are going to add with that. That way, what we are essentially doing is, you want to reduce the value 4 to the lowest value. So that many operations you need to incur. And one more thing that we are assuming is, here the sorted is all unique values, right? What if we don't have unique values? Can this work, right? Can this work? This cannot work, right? This formula in line 31 cannot work. For that purpose, what we are going to do is, instead of just straight away sorting the input, what we are going to do is, we are going to just get the keys from the dictionary and sort it. Okay, get the dictionary keys from the dictionary and sort it, as simple as that. Or you could, while you prepare the dictionary, you just maintain a list of unique values, right? So in this case, what we are saying is, these are unique values from nums. If that is the case, then this would work, right? Because dictionary will always keep track of how many times each element has appeared. So this formula would work, right? We will be doing this for every I, right? We will execute these 2 steps for every I, as long as I is greater than 0, until 2, basically 2, 3, 4. For these 3, we will be doing these 2 steps. If we do these 2 steps, what we are essentially doing is, whatever the number of operations that we have done so far, we are adding it to the lower value, right? We are adding it to the lower value, and we are keeping track of how many times each value has to be updated, right? So this is our second approach, right? So basically, if you consider the brute force approach, then it is second approach, but we are not going to do, I mean, implement the brute force approach anyway. So let's call this as approach 1, right? We are using the help of the dictionary as well as a sorted unique values from the input array, right? So that's how we are going to solve this. So let's actually look at a different approach where if we need to keep track of a dictionary or anything of that sort, right? So let's see another approach where we don't actually need the dictionary, right? What we are going to do is we will keep track of only the sorted list, right? Sorted array, and try to work out the same approach that we were doing, right? So to see if there is any formula that we can come up with, right? So in this case, to how many number of elements that are greater than, I mean, lesser than 2, right? Lesser than 2. There is one element, right? How many elements that are lesser than 3? There are 2 elements. How many elements that are lesser than 4? 3 elements, right? So we know all these things, right? But we need to keep track of that count and add to, and we need that many operations to be done, right? So in order to make 2 to 1, we need one such operation, one these 3-step operation. To make 3 to 1, basically we will make 3 to 2, that is 1, and then 2 to 1, that is 1. So to make 3 to the lowest value, we need 2 operations. Similarly, from 4 to 1, we need 3 operations. In this case, what we are going to really keep track is starting from the element 2, right? Assuming that at index 1, right? We will keep track of how many operations that we essentially need to make it as the lowest value. But what if there are duplicates, right? What if there are duplicates? Let's say in this case, there is another 2, right? What if there is another duplicate? In this case, what we should do? So for this 2, we know we need one operation, right? And for this 2 also, we need one more operation, right? This 2, we need one operation. We are sure, right? As we are allowed to change only one value at a time, that means for this 2, you are going to take one operation. And for this 2 also, you need one more operation, right? So, but do you need to increment the operations, the current operations is the question, right? So that's what is important, right? Whatever the number of operations that you need, for this 2 you need one, for this 2 you need one, same operation, same number of operations basically. But when it is 3, you need to increment the operations. That means as long as the adjacent values are not same, you need to increment the operation count. If the values which are adjacent are same, then you don't need to increment the values and the current operation number. So at any given time, whatever the operations that you have right now, plus 1 will be added if the values which are adjacent are not same, right? So in this case, not same is, since it is sorted array, right? We can say less than or less than, right? So basically, if nums, since I'm calling sorted, right? So let's call this nums. We know it is sorted basically. First, we will say sort array, right? Let's like that, right? Like that. So if nums of I, right? Nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, right? So we can start with I is equal to 1. In that case, what we can say is nums of I minus 1 is less than nums of I, right? So we can, what we'll say is, okay, we will be incrementing current ops plus plus, right? We need more operations as long as you go further starting from the index 1, but otherwise we don't increment that. But remember, every time we have whatever the current operations, we are going to add it to the result. So result plus is equal to current operations, right? So this is what is our approach going to be. So approach 2 going to be. Basically, the first step is sort the array. And then once you sort the array, right, you are going to start from the index 1. Index 0, you don't have any comparison to make it. But since you'll have to start with some comparison, right? Basically, in this line, you are checking from I minus 1, right? So that's why you're starting from index 1. If that is the case, then you increment the current operations and add whatever the current operations that you accumulated to the result. Finally, you return the result. So these are the two approaches basically. So let's look at the code for these two approaches, right? Actually, for the approach 2 is straightforward. Approach 1 is a little bit time taking. Basically, we are using two different things here, right? So a dictionary and a sorted array, right? That also, it's not a straightforward sorted array, but sorted array with unique values from the numbers. So that is a catch here. You'll have to keep track of unique values by yourself, right? Okay, let's go. So we have a dictionary and we have a list, right? So that's how we are looking for, right? And we are filling up the dictionary as with values how many times they are occurred here. And by now we have the dictionary filled up, right? So once we have the dictionary filled up, what we are going to, while we are filling the dictionary, we are creating a list which will have unique values. So as and when it appears first time, we are adding it to the list. So that means my list will have unique values. And as I said, we are going to keep track of the sorted elements from, we are keeping the list as sorted, just like what we did, right? So here sorted will have unique values from the nums. That's what is our list here. And as we said, we are going to start from the last element, right? We are going to start from the last element processing these two steps essentially, right? So we are going to start from the last step, list minus 1 until 0, with a negative. So we are coming down basically, n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3 until 0. So what we are doing is basically current number of operations, we are adding it to the from the dictionary, and we are the previous value from from the list, we are adding the next largest, right? Whatever the list of I, that is the current largest, right? What is the next largest? List of I minus 1, as we talked, right? So at any given time, this will be the largest and this will be the next largest. So if I is the largest, if I is largest, right, I minus 1 will have next largest, right? Simple. When I is largest, I minus 1 will have next largest. That's why what we are doing is we are adding the values, the the number of times that it occurred to the next largest, right, at any given time. So that's what we are doing. And while we do that, we know how many number of operations that we need, right? So if it occurred 2 times, 2 plus whatever the number of elements that were more than that element, right? That's why we are doing with that approach. And whatever the number of current operations that we accumulated, we are going to return that, right? So this is what our approach 1, right? It's a little bit extra memory that it is occupying. Basically, we are preparing a dictionary and a sorted list which will contain the unique values. So let's go ahead and look at the approach 2, right? The code. Okay. So this is simple. We will have a result and we have the current number of operations. And as we said, we are going to sort the array to start with, right? We sorted the array. And then we are going to start from the first index, right? Array, the index 1 until the length of them. So as we said, if the nums of I minus 1 is less than nums of I, we are going to increment the current operations. So that's what we are doing here, right? We are doing here. And result we are adding with the current operations. If they are same, right, in this case of 2 and 2, we are not going to increment the number of operations anyway, because both 2's need only one operation, right? If you want to decrease, reduce the value from 2 to 1, you need one operation only, irrespective of number of 2's. So you need one operation that you're adding it to the result anyway. All you're not doing is just incrementing the operations, that's it. But you are still adding the current operations to the result. So for this 2, you add 1. For this 2, you add 1 to the result. And then return this. So that's how the second approach will work. So now let's go ahead and look at the time and space complexity for both, right? Time and space. Time. So in both approaches, we are using sorting, right? So let's say if there are n elements in the array, n elements. So sorting will take order of, right? Order of n log n, let's say, right? And this sorting will take order of n log n. And in the approach 1, right? In the approach 1, we are going through the entire nums, that is ones, and also we are going through the unique list. So if there are n numbers in given input, list also can have maximum of n, assuming all of them are distinct. If there are duplicates, list will have less. So the worst case, we are going through the list once and second time, right? So that means we are going through both of them 2 times. So order of n plus order of n, right? So that's the total time complexity. But if you come calculate the total, right, basically order of n log n plus order of n plus order of n. So in general, we only look at the order of n log n is always greater than order of n. We will say the total complexity would be order of log n log n, basically n log, right? And coming to the space. So space, we are using a dictionary and sorted unique values, right? So dictionary, if there are n elements, if they're all unique, then we'll say order of n space. If they have duplicates, there will be lesser than order of n space. And sorted, similarly, if they are all unique, it will take order of n space. If there are if there are duplicates, it will take order of less than n space, right? So totally order of n plus order of n. So totally we will say order of n is the space complexity, right? So that is the time and space complexity for approach 1. Let's go look at the approach 2. What is the time and space, right? So time, sorting. Basically, as we said, there are n elements in the array. It would take order of n. And plus, once we have the sorting, right? Once we have the sorting, we are going through the entire array again, right? So that would take again order of n, right? So the totally, since order of all n log n will be always greater than order of n, we will decompose that to order of n log n, right? Good. And what is the space complexity? Are we using any extra space here? We are just using only a couple of variables. Apart from that, we are not using anything. So that means space complexity will be order of 1, basically the constant space, we will say. So in both the approaches, the time complexity is same. So this is basically the theoretical time complexity. But practically, the approach 2 would be much faster, because we are going through the entire array only once here, right? But here we are going through 2 times. That's what we added, right? So theoretically, the time complexity will be same for both, but practically approach 2 will be faster than approach 1. And space, second approach is efficient than first approach, right? So that's how we were able to solve the problem and look at multiple different approaches along with their time and space complexities, and we were able to contrast which one is better, right? So I will be uploading the code for this problem to the GitHub repository. You would find both approaches in the repository, and you will find the link in the description section below this video, right? Thank you for watching. I have bunch of playlists created for various categories such as dynamic programming, linked list, trees, graphs, greedy, sorting, searching, stacks, queues, linked lists. All these different categories are available. Please subscribe to my channel and share among your friends. Thank you for watching. I will be back with another problem very soon. Till then, stay safe and goodbye.